There's a kind of magnetism that can't be explained by youth, flawless skin, or the perfect figure. You've seen it before. A woman walks into a room, and heads turn, not because she fit a magazine cover stereotype, but because there is something deeper, richer, more alive in the way she moves, the way she holds herself, the way she exists. It is not the energy of trying to be noticed. It is the energy of someone who knows she is worth noticing. In the language of Jungian psychology, women who carry this presence have tapped into a rare, timeless current of human nature, one that goes far beyond surface beauty. It is a power available to women at any age, but for those in the later seasons of life, it becomes a crown, the kind of quiet authority that can't be borrowed, bought, or faked. In sharing advice with the elderly, I've found that true allure doesn't fade with the years. It simply changes form. It becomes less about competing for attention and more about drawing it naturally, without effort, like a flame draws warmth in the cold. Confidence is the first thread in this invisible fabric. Before anyone notices your clothes, your hair, or your makeup, they notice how you carry yourself. Senior women confidence is not a matter of standing on a stage or delivering a speech. It's how you walk into the cafe, how you greet the neighbor, how you glance across a room. Shoulders back, head high, eyes steady, a posture that speaks without words, that says, I am at home in my skin. The habits of attractive women often begin here, in the subtle yet profound choice to inhabit one's own space without apology. Even in senior wellness stories that span decades, this confidence remains a constant. It is the invisible introduction you make before you ever open your mouth, and it's felt by everyone around you. But confidence alone isn't the whole melody. There's also the art of not clinging. Mature women empowerment comes in part from knowing that you don't need to grasp at anyone to keep them in your life. When you release the need to be constantly available, you send a signal that your world is already full and vibrant. In elderly vitality stories shared by women who have lived through love, loss, and renewal, there's often this common truth. Desire grows in space. When a man, or anyone for that matter, senses that your life does not revolve around them, they lean in closer. They want to know more. You give them something to pursue, not because you're playing games, but because you are genuinely immersed in your own rich, independent existence. Style, too, becomes an unspoken language. Not the style dictated by the latest runway trend, but the personal signature that reflects your inner strength. This is where the habits of attractive women shift from imitation to authenticity. A scarf chosen because its color makes you feel alive, a dress that falls away that makes your body feel both free and elegant, a ring worn not for show, but because it carries a story. These choices are not about impressing others. They're about reinforcing to yourself the truth you already live by. That beauty is an extension of the soul. In inspirational senior stories, style often becomes a form of autobiography, each element a quiet chapter in a life well lived. Yet perhaps the most magnetic force is something far less tangible. Feminine energy that doesn't shout, but hums like a well-tuned instrument. In the framework of Jungian psychology, women who balance this energy know how to influence without pushing, to receive without demanding, to inspire without chasing. They understand that strength doesn't have to look like control, and softness doesn't have to mean weakness. In senior wellness stories, I've heard time and again that when a woman learns to relax into her own presence, when she can enjoy the moment without calculating the future or scripting the outcome, she becomes luminous. People gravitate toward her, not because she's trying to be impressive, but because being around her feels like a relief from the noise of the world. Conversation is another art form in this quiet architecture of attraction. The most captivating women are not the ones who dominate the room with words, but the ones who listen deeply, speak with intention, and know when silence can say more than speech. A glance held a moment longer, a question that invites reflection, a story left partially untold. These are the tools of connection. In elderly vitality stories passed from one generation to the next, the memory is rarely of someone's perfectly rehearsed speech, but the way they made you feel seen, the curiosity they sparked, the warmth they radiated. This is not manipulation. It is presence, pure and simple. Independence, though, is perhaps the most irresistible of all. When your life is already rich with purpose, passion, and people who uplift you, you stop looking at anyone else to complete the picture. This is the heartbeat of mature women empowerment. Men and women alike are drawn to someone who is their own universe and who invites others to be part of it without making them its center. In advice for the elderly, I often emphasize this. The surest way to keep your spirit vibrant is to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep creating new chapters. Senior women confidence deepens when you are as engaged with your own journey as you were decades earlier. Maybe even more so, because now you understand the value of your time. This magnetism isn't about luck or rare talent. It's about behaviors, choices, and ways of being that anyone can cultivate. It's in the way you choose to enter a room, the way you protect your time, the way you express your style, the way you balance openness with mystery, the way you speak or choose not to, and the way you stand fully in your own independence. It's a form of beauty that doesn't fade. In fact, it often grows stronger with age because it's rooted in something that time can't erode. These are not just habits of attractive women. They are the living proof that allure is as much about spirit as it is about skin. There's a profound difference between existing in the world and truly inhabiting it. Women who embody lasting magnetism understand this difference instinctively. They don't move through life as if they're trying to avoid taking up too much space. They inhabit their moments fully, whether they're walking down a quiet street at sunset, sitting in a cafe with a book, or speaking to someone for the first time. This sense of presence is not a skill you develop overnight. It's a practice, refined through years of self-discovery, and becomes one of the most powerful forms of advice for the elderly to embrace. Every step, every glance, every small gesture becomes a quiet declaration. I am here, and I am worth knowing. What makes this presence so captivating is its authenticity. It's not manufactured through forced charm or rehearsed lines. It comes from a deep alignment between who you are and how you show up. In many inspirational senior stories, women speak about the freedom they felt when they stopped trying to please everyone and started honoring their own values first. That shift doesn't make them arrogant. It makes them real. And real, in a world that often rewards pretense, is a rare and magnetic thing. This authenticity naturally feeds into independence, the steady pulse beneath every habit of attractive women. Independence is not about being alone or rejecting connection. It's about knowing that your happiness doesn't hinge on anyone else's presence. It's the ability to wake up in the morning with plans that excite you, projects that challenge you, and passions that fill your heart, with or without an audience. In senior wellness stories, independence often takes on a new dimension, becoming less about proving capability and more about savoring freedom. There's an elegance to a life that is self-propelled, where companionship is a choice rather than a necessity. Independence is also magnetic because it signals security. When someone meets you and sees that your self-worth isn't for sale, that you are fulfilled without constant reassurance, they understand, consciously or not, that you are not easily swayed, not desperate for approval. This creates respect, and respect deepens attraction. It's why mature women empowerment often starts with small, daily acts. Making time for your interests, nurturing friendships that lift you higher, and saying no without guilt when something doesn't align with your priorities. In Jungian psychology, women who embody the archetype of the wise elder or the self-possessed sovereign often stand out most not for what they do, but for what they refuse to compromise on. Another dimension to this quiet power is mystery. Mystery isn't about secrecy for its own sake. It's about pacing your revelations, allowing people to discover you layer by layer. The women whose elderly vitality stories linger in memory are those who never felt compelled to put their entire life on display all at once. They understand that curiosity is a powerful current. When someone leaves a conversation wanting to know more, they will find their way back to you. Mystery invites pursuit, and pursuit, when mutual and healthy, keeps connection alive. This is where conversation becomes both an art and a discipline. Speaking less but with more intention is a hallmark of senior women confidence. When you choose your words carefully, when you allow pauses to carry weight, when you listen more than you speak, you shift the dynamic entirely. You're no longer chasing validation. You're creating a space where the other person feels drawn to fill the silence with their own thoughts, questions, and stories. And in that exchange, a deeper connection forms. In the language of habits of attractive women, this is about quality over quantity, a truth that holds as much in communication as it does in life. Style continues to play its role here, not as decoration but as expression. The most compelling women don't just wear clothes. They inhabit them. A silk blouse might carry the memory of a trip abroad. A pair of well-worn boots might tell of long walks through changing seasons. A particular shade of lipstick might signal confidence before a pivotal meeting. Each choice is personal, rooted in a sense of self that refuses to be diluted by trends. This kind of style becomes part of your narrative, and in every inspirational senior story worth telling, that narrative is unique. No one else can wear your history the way you do. It's worth noting that this depth of presence, independence, mystery, and style isn't about perfection. In fact, perfection can be the enemy of connection. People don't fall in love with flawless. They fall in love with real. They are drawn to the woman who carries her scars with grace, who can laugh at herself, who isn't afraid to admit when she doesn't have all the answers. Senior wellness stories often highlight that vulnerability, when paired with self-respect, is one of the most human and beautiful qualities you can possess. It makes you approachable without diminishing your strength. Feminine energy ties all of this together in a way that transcends words. It's not about behaving in a way that pleases others. It's about honoring the softer, receptive parts of yourself without sacrificing the strength that life has given you. This energy allows you to influence without controlling, to invite without pressuring, to inspire without demanding. In Jungian psychology, women who balance this duality are often seen as the most captivating figures in their communities. Not because they're flawless, but because they embody a harmony that others can feel. These layers, confidence, independence, mystery, authentic style, intentional conversation, and balanced energy, are not separate skills to be checked off a list. They are interconnected, each feeding the other, creating a presence that grows richer over time. And the beauty of this is that it's never too late to begin. Whether you are 30 or 70, whether you are meeting new people or deepening bonds that have lasted decades, you can cultivate this magnetism. In giving advice to the elderly, I return to this truth often. The most radiant version of you is the one who lives fully in the life you already have, while remaining open to what's still ahead. There's a kind of quiet courage in refusing to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. For women who have lived through seasons of change, through storms and sunshine alike, this courage becomes second nature. It's not loud, it doesn't demand applause, but it's present in every choice they make. This, too, is a form of mature women empowerment. It's the decision to wear what feels like you, to speak when your voice matters, to walk away when something no longer serves your well-being. Advice for the elderly often touches on physical health or financial security, but the emotional and spiritual health that comes from honoring your own truth is just as vital. In many elderly vitality stories, the moments that stand out are not the grand victories, but the small, consistent acts of self-respect. Choosing to rest when the world says to hustle. Saying no to a social gathering, because solitude feels more restorative that day. Investing time in a hobby simply because it brings joy. These seemingly ordinary decisions accumulate into a life that feels whole. And in the context of habits of attractive women, these choices are profoundly magnetic. They send a signal that you value your own time and energy, and in doing so, you teach others to do the same. Connection, when it comes, is richer for it. When you meet someone as a whole person, not as someone looking to be completed, the relationship has room to breathe. There is no pressure to be each other's everything. Instead, there's a freedom to simply be together, to share life without consuming it. This is the essence of senior women confidence. Being comfortable enough in your own life to invite someone in without losing yourself in the process. In Jungian psychology, women who have integrated this level of self-possession are often compared to the archetype of queen, sovereign over her own domain, but generous in sharing it. In conversation, this self-possession shows up in ways that are subtle but unmistakable. You're not rushing to fill every silence. You're not scrambling to prove your worth with stories or accomplishments. You're present, attentive, and engaged. You ask questions that open doors rather than closing them, that invite someone to share their inner world. You allow pauses to stretch just long enough for curiosity to bloom. In senior wellness stories, people often recall not the exact words spoken, but the feeling of being truly heard. And that feeling is a gift you can offer freely without ever depleting yourself. Style, in this light, becomes more than appearance. It's a form of conversation without words. The colors you choose can signal energy or serenity, passion or calm. The textures you wear can convey warmth or formality. Even the way you carry a scarf, the tilt of your hat, or the glint of your jewelry can tell a story. In inspirational senior stories, style is often described as a visible reflection of an invisible confidence. You're not dressing to hide or to please. You're dressing to align the outside with the truth inside. Feminine energy moves through all of this like a current beneath the surface. It's present in the way you receive compliments with grace rather than deflection, in the way you can hold eye contact without turning it into a contest, in the way you can let someone else lead without feeling diminished. It's in your willingness to be open to experiences, to let life surprise you even when you've lived long enough to think you've seen it all. This openness doesn't make you naive, it makes you magnetic. It's the same quality that draws people to certain individuals in senior wellness stories. The sense that they're still engaged with life, still curious, still willing to say yes. Independence, too, evolves as you do. In earlier years, it might have meant proving to yourself and others that you could manage on your own. Now, it can mean something softer but no less strong, choosing what's right for you without needing to justify it. It can mean traveling alone because you love the freedom, or staying home because peace feels more valuable than novelty that day. In Habits of Attractive Women, independence is never about isolation. It's about discernment, knowing what nourishes you and having the courage to choose it. This discernment extends to relationships of all kinds. You learn to recognize who adds value to your life and who only takes from it. You become more willing to let go of connections that are built on obligation rather than genuine care. In inspirational senior stories, these moments of release are often described as turning points, times when someone reclaimed their energy and redirected it toward people and pursuits that truly mattered. Advice for the elderly is often framed in practical terms. But here's a truth that's just as practical as any financial tip. Your attention is a resource, and you have the right to spend it wisely. Confidence, mystery, style, energy, independence. These are not separate garments you put on and take off. They are threads woven together into the fabric of your presence. And presence is what lingers. Long after people forget the details of your conversation, they will remember how they felt in your company. They will remember the calm, the curiosity, the quiet strength. They will remember the way you made them feel seen, without judgment or agenda. That is what makes someone truly unforgettable. The beauty of all this is that it's accessible. You don't need to be born with a certain face, a certain body, or a certain fortune. You don't need to reverse time. What you need is the willingness to inhabit your life fully, to carry yourself with the assurance that your story has value, and to engage with the world in a way that reflects that truth. The Habits of Attractive Women are not about changing who you are. They're about revealing more of the best of you. And in that revealing, you discover that magnetism isn't something you chase. It's something you become. There is an undeniable grace in a woman who no longer feels a need to explain herself. She moves through her days with a sense of quiet certainty, making choices that align with her values without asking for approval. In a world that often tries to shape women into something smaller or quieter, this self-assurance is a form of mature women empowerment in its purest state. It is not loud, yet it speaks volumes. It is not aggressive, yet it commands respect. And for those seeking advice for the elderly, understanding that you do not owe the world an explanation for being yourself is one of the most liberating truths you can carry. This truth shows up in the way you engage with others. You know that you don't have to fill every silence or chase every connection. You understand that your worth is not determined by how many people need you at any given moment. This kind of confidence has a way of simplifying life. It clears away the noise and allows you to focus on what truly matters, your well-being, your passions, your inner peace. In many elderly vitality stories, this simplicity becomes a kind of luxury, one that frees you to spend your time and energy on the things that bring genuine joy. Your style reflects this same simplicity and intentionality. It's no longer about impressing strangers or keeping up with fleeting trends. Instead, it's about surrounding yourself with colors, textures, and shapes that feel like home. A soft sweater that holds a memory of a trip to the coast. A bracelet given by a dear friend decades ago. a fragrance that has become part of your signature presence. These details are not random. They are chosen. They are part of the story you tell without speaking a word. In Habits of Attractive Women, style is less about what you wear and more about how you inhabit what you wear. Conversation becomes richer too. With the years comes the understanding that speaking less can sometimes say more. You ask questions not to fill time, but to truly know the person in front of you. You listen without rushing to respond. You let your curiosity guide you instead of your need to impress. People remember how it feels to be listened to in this way. It makes them feel valued, understood, and respected. In Senior Women Confidence, the power of listening is as vital as the power of speaking. Feminine energy weaves through every interaction, not as a performance, but as a natural expression of who you are. It shows in the way you can soften a tense conversation with a calm tone, in the way you offer warmth without expectation, in the way you can be both open and grounded at the same time. This balance is part of what makes inspirational senior stories so compelling. The ability to embrace life fully without losing your center. You are receptive, but you are not passive. You are strong, but you are not hard. This is a harmony that draws people in and keeps them close. Independence remains the foundation of this magnetism. It is a knowledge that your life is complete on its own, that companionship is an addition, not a requirement. You wake each morning with a sense of purpose that belongs to you alone. Perhaps it's tending to a garden, writing in a journal, volunteering in your community, or pursuing a long-held dream. These pursuits are not distractions. They are expressions of your vitality. They keep your spirit alive, your mind engaged, and your heart open. In elderly vitality stories, these passions are often what keep people vibrant well into later years. This independence also brings clarity to relationships. You become more attuned to which connections uplift you and which ones drain you. You learn to recognize when it's time to let go of relationships built on obligation or habit. Doing so is not an act of cruelty, but an act of self-care. It's a way of honoring the limited and precious resource of your attention. Advice for the elderly often focuses on physical health, but tending to the health of your emotional environment is equally important. Confidence, style, conversation, energy, independence. These are not isolated qualities. They work together, each strengthening the other, each adding depth to the way you move through the world. They are what make your presence felt long after you leave a room. They are why people remember you, even if they can't recall exactly what you said. And perhaps most importantly, they are qualities that you can choose to nurture at any time, no matter your age or your history. The path to this kind of presence is not about striving for perfection. It's about becoming more of yourself. It's about stripping away what doesn't belong to you. The expectations, the roles, the comparisons, until what remains is authentic, grounded, and whole. This is the heart of mature women empowerment. It's not a single moment of transformation, but a lifetime of choices that slowly shape the way you are seen and felt. As you live into this truth, you begin to see how your life story itself becomes an inspiration. The way you've navigated challenges, embraced change, and continue to grow becomes a model for others. These are the kinds of inspirational senior stories that carry real weight, not because they're dramatic, but because they are real. They show that attraction, connection, and vitality are not the domain of the young, but the reward of those who live fully at every age. When you carry yourself in this way, you don't need to seek out opportunities for connection. They find you. People are drawn to the steadiness in your presence, the calm in your voice, the warmth in your smile. They sense that being around you feels different, safer, more alive, more honest. And that is something no trend, no product, no passing fad can offer. It is entirely yours. There's a rare kind of beauty that deepens with time, one that does not fade with the passing years, but instead becomes more luminous. It's the beauty of a life fully inhabited, of wisdom worn comfortably, of lessons turned into quiet strength. In giving advice to the elderly, I return to this truth again and again. The essence of who you are is not diminished by age. It is distilled by it. What remains is richer, clearer, and far more magnetic than anything youth alone could offer. This beauty cannot be rushed, and it cannot be faked. It comes from decades of choices, some triumphant, some difficult, that have shaped not just your circumstances, but your character. It comes from a willingness to grow even when the world says you've already arrived. It comes from choosing to stay curious, to keep learning, to keep showing up to life with open eyes and an open heart. In elderly vitality stories, this is a common thread. The women who remain captivating are the ones who remain engaged. They are not frozen in the past, nor are they obsessed with chasing the future. They are fully present in the now. This presence is felt in your confidence. It's there in the way you enter a room, not with need to dominate, but with a quiet assurance that you belong. It's there in the way you meet someone's gaze, unhurried and unafraid. It's there in the way you speak, not to fill space, but to connect. Senior women confidence isn't about proving your worth. It's about knowing it so deeply that you no longer feel compelled to prove it at all. Your independence reinforces this. The fact that you have a life rich with purpose and passion, one that would still be full even if no one else were in it, is a signal of strength. It tells the world that you are whole. This is perhaps one of the most important habits of attractive women. To live a life that excites you, regardless of who is watching, whether pursuing a creative project, mentoring others, exploring new places, or attending to the rituals that nourish your spirit. You choose to live in a way that lights you up from the inside. Your style becomes the outward reflection of this inner light. It's not about what's fashionable. It's about what's true to you. The color that makes your eyes brighter, the shape that makes you feel both comfortable and powerful, the fragrance that feels like home. These are not vanity, but self-expression. They are a way of saying, without words, this is who I am. In inspirational senior stories, style often becomes a signature, something people remember you by long after they've forgotten the details of the day. Feminine energy softens all of this without weakening it. It's the ability to invite rather than chase, to inspire rather than demand, to influence without force. It's the warmth that makes people lean in, the calm that makes them feel safe, the openness that makes them want to stay. In Jungian psychology, women who master this balance embody a kind of timeless appeal. They're strong without being rigid, receptive without being passive. Your conversation carries the same balance. You don't rush. You listen. You leave room for others to share. You know that connection is built not in the number of words exchanged, but in the depth of understanding reached. You don't feel the need to reveal every detail of yourself right away. You allow people the pleasure of discovering you over time. Mystery keeps interest alive, and in the context of advice for the elderly, it keeps relationships, whether new or decades old, vibrant. All of these qualities work together to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts. They form a presence that lingers. People may not remember exactly what you wore or exactly what you said, but they will remember how they felt when they were with you. They will remember the steadiness, the warmth, the quiet confidence. They will remember the way you made them feel seen and valued. And that is what truly lasts. Living this way is not about striving to be irresistible in the eyes of others. It's about living in a way that feels irresistible to you, a life that you would choose again and again because it is honest, vibrant, and fully your own. The magnetic pull that others feel is simply a reflection of the joy, peace, and purpose you've cultivated within yourself. If you take nothing else from these reflections, let it be this. Your most powerful asset is the energy you carry into the world. It is shaped by your confidence, sustained by your independence, expressed through your style, softened by your feminine energy, deepened by your conversation, and protected by your boundaries. These are the qualities that do not fade, that only grow stronger with time, that turn a life into a story worth telling. And so, to every woman listening, whether you're 25 or 75, whether you are in the midst of change or settled in your rhythm, know this. You have within you the ability to captivate, not by being someone else, but by being more fully yourself. That is the real heart of mature women empowerment. That is a thread that runs through the most inspirational senior stories, the habits of attractive women, and the deepest advice for the elderly. It is the truth that your worth is not measured in years, but in the depth and authenticity with which you live them. Thank you for spending this time with me, for letting these words be part of your day. If this message has resonated with you, if it has sparked even a small shift in how you see yourself or the way you choose to move through the world, then I invite you to carry it forward. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let it inspire a conversation, a reflection, a change. And if you'd like to continue exploring these ideas together, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new reflection. Your engagement helps keep these stories and insights alive, reaching those who need them most. Together, we can keep building a space where women, at every stage of life, can step fully into their power, their beauty, and their unique, unshakable presence. True magnetism isn't about youth or perfection. It's about living with confidence, independence, and authenticity. The real beauty of a woman, especially in her mature years, comes from embracing who she truly is, carrying herself with grace, and staying engaged with life. The habits of attractive women aren't tricks or trends. They are choices that honor self-respect, protect personal energy, and inspire others. Whether it's cultivating your own passions, dressing in a way that reflects your spirit, or holding meaningful conversations that leave people feeling valued, these are timeless practices that keep your presence unforgettable. The lesson is simple. You don't need to chase approval or try to be someone you're not. You are already enough. When you live fully and authentically, you naturally draw the right people and opportunities toward you. That is the real power behind advice for the elderly, wisdom that applies at any age, but grows stronger with time. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment with number 1 to let us know you watched the whole video. We appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel to encourage us. We appreciate you. See you in the next video.